Welcome to another episode of Experts in the Loop. We have a very special guest today, Jason Zhou. He is one of the largest YouTube AI channels in Australia with a background in product design, ex-mentor at Blackbird, ex-head of product at Relevance AI, serial investor, and now founder of his own company, Super Design. We introduced you, Jason Zhou.
What did that feel like when that was happening?
Yeah, it feels unreal. I feel like I still remember the first subscriber or first person who left a comment. So it give you this positive feedback loop. The whole reason I started that is because I want to learn AI, and I know if I just learn myself, I probably, lose motivation later.
Yeah.
Low value task from what I see. It's literally a marketing team want to add a banner for book demo or event, and you need a designer to do that. And like, it's so basic, and what designer got to design is also going to, a good designer, or not, I wouldn't say good designer, an effective designer, just put a banner, get a job done.
Like testing, learning, iterating, testing, learning, iterating. It's like the continual process of just applying some kind of process to see if it works. If it doesn't, pivot to the thing that talk to the people to validate it, find out why, move on to the next thing. It's that continual repetition of learn by doing.
I ran an experiment. I kind of locked him in a room for half a day and forced him to say, you have to install GitHub, you have to install Cursor, okay? You have to become front engineer.
Yeah.
And
wow,
it was quite scaring, like when they open terminal for the first time. First time they can close their the quality gap that used to very, very difficult to prioritize. Then I started thinking keep pushing PRs to the code base. And that's where I realized, okay, this must be how other teams should work, or how future product teams should operate.
how did it lead to creating Super Design?
I actually start as a side project when I was doing Relevance.
Oh,
I just ran a weekend project.
Love that. Love it.
And the weekend project was a
True entrepreneur.
a contract designer on Twitter, and he was paying like $8,000 per month, but he wasn't happy with the result. And then he tried this, and he was like, okay, I can actually iterate things way faster rather than a 1 week waiting period.
And if it's something that you want yourself, you can give tighter feedback because it's not emailing others.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it within yourself.
10 years ago, the golden title format is like something is like new king for photo, something like that. Like, game is over, this type of thing, or like make you 10x.
So true.
That didn't work anymore. The fear I had before was I was solo founder.
Yep.
And as advice always like you should get a co-founder. And I tried really hard, but it just couldn't find easily the person that clicks.
Yeah.
We changed it from, this used to be called Digital Nexus, which was just a nice generic sort of name, but it didn't really hit. And we were thinking about things like humans in the loop because that's a common term. But then we realized that a whole lot of people, like AI, as you know, like you need to have, it's not just humans that validate things. It's better when experts do, expert in design, for example. So experts in the loop was the change.
Well, I mean, Digital Nexus, we formed it originally because we were like, oh, we want to talk about AI. So why don't we get AI to help us set it up? Like, oh, what's a cool bunch of names that we could name the show? And that was it. So we came up with a bunch of names. We chose Digital Nexus at the time. But then obviously realized that so has the rest of the world done the same thing, going, what's some cool name for my podcast? And then on YouTube, there's like 20 different Digital Nexus channels, Digital Nexus AI, Digital Nexus, because someone's already checking Digital Nexus 2, Digital Nexus 3.
Another funny thing is, like, I don't come across Digital Nexus stuff much in either the blockchain or the AI podcast that I do. But in any case, it doesn't matter. This is a much better name because it was all about people like yourself that are the experts. And Jason, thanks for joining the show.
Yeah, nice. Wait, did we start already?
Yeah, we've started there.
All right, well, half that conversation will still be in the episode.
I was just going to say, it'd be great for people. A lot of people probably already subscribed to your channel, the 200,000 plus subscribers that we've seen there. But
Jason.
For folks that haven't seen AI Jason, what can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Jason, and my background was a product designer, actually. I started my career in a startup here called SafetyCulture, stayed there for a couple of years. And later, it was a year, I can't remember, it was a year where crypto is a thing. AI wasn't a thing yet, and I was running a side project, doing all sorts of different hackathon with friends, and one project got funded by Binance, and I quit my job, started my first first startups, but that one wasn't really good. Like I remember the first day I quit my job, and during that startup, we were in Binance-Incubation, and the mentor was Do Kwon,
Oh
and
wow.
literally 24 hours
Okay.
before the Luna crash,
Yeah.
and he was giving us a mentorship session, and he has to finish earlier.
Wow.
But anyway, the market wasn't that
Small
great.
world.
But later, I think that's where like ChatGPT 3.5 happened. That's where I got like super interested in that space. That's how I started this channel. It called AI Jason, where I just keep sharing all the different interesting learnings. Because back then, every week you have this 10 trending GitHub pages, and it's kind of like tricky to set up. I just all sorts of different things, and then figure out, okay, what actually works, what it didn't work, because there are so many channels. Some of them, it's kind of divided into two buckets. Some of them were like AI news every day.
Yep. Matt
Next thing,
Yeah.
and the
We were
other,
there.
and the other one is like really deep technical thing.
Yeah.
Good stuff, but difficult to follow.
Yep.
So because my background, I'm like a kind of Parada / also AI engineer. So I just try a lot of things, figure out, okay, what are the quirks of this technology?
Yeah.
Is it actually going to be useful? Is it ready? Right. And then build some kind of demo showing to people. So that's kind of like the content I produce. Yeah, that's kind of the AI Jason YouTube channel.
I remember when you only had a few thousand subscribers, it was still very early. You hadn't cracked the 10,000 yet. I was already watching the stuff grow. And then it just seemed like just a few videos. And I don't know if you were doing it weekly, but it just seemed like it was just like, just a few of these like little videos that just started coming out.
I just clicked on one of his videos on my channel. Sorry.
A few of these videos that came out, it just started like really blowing up, and more people, I don't know if the algorithm was just pushing it or like people were talking about it more. It was just like crazy, like in terms of just how all of a sudden you just had this hockey stick curve growth. Like, what did that feel like when that was happening?
Yeah, it feels unreal. I feel like I still remember the first subscriber or first
Oh, really?
person
Okay.
who left a comment.
Oh,
Is
wow.
a Korean guy.
Yeah.
And left something. And it was the first video I made. It was also super boring. It was there was one time, it's two and a half years ago. The hot thing is that you use AI to copy Kanye West rap.
Okay.
And I would
Yeah.
literally make a video about, okay, this is how you can do that.
Oh, wow.
And if people comment below, like, wow, that's cool. People actually watching this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it definitely feels really good because it gives you this positive feedback loop. The whole reason I started that is because I want to learn AI, and I know if I just learn myself, I probably, lose motivation later.
Yeah.
But if I produce content, even though whatever I tried not working, I can still share the learnings. That's still like positive
Yeah.
feedback. But the cool thing I think start changing is when I find my style, which is the one I mentioned. Like I try to take a new or interesting concept, explain that, and then show you a practical demo of how you can use it. I figure out that content format that really works for me, plus thumbnail it's working kind of well for me as well.
Thumbnails help.
I was gonna say the meme. That's the main thing I was trying to find here when I accidentally clicked on something. Sorry, it was like the meme style images that you're utilizing, and you're so good. I really love it.
Has it always been that style from day one?
I think after the second video, I started using that stuff, and then it started changing the traffic, I would say.
It's really good for anyone like that's trying to grow a channel like we are here. It's a good one to follow because it's you've been very public with the growth. Like you've showed us like how things like this could happen, and I think it's also the learning and stuff as well. Like the reason that we're trying to do this is good. We're trying to learn from founders, and there's a lot of great connections that people are making from following the founders that are on here. But that journey still continues. You're busy now, like growing Super Design, and we'll talk about that. But the videos still continue.
Yeah, we still continue. It's like I think they self-enforce each other.
Good.
But that one, I tend to work on different things because if I just keep working on one thing, it start focus too much. But that channel helped me to understand, get a pulse about what's the latest thing. So that really helps, and also can drive traffic to whatever thing I'm working on as well.
Perfect.
The thing I love about it is you touched on it, how you structure your videos, how you structure the content you create. At the end of the day, it's always about value to the people who are listening and learning and giving you something as an output, which is, hey, you can take this away and do this yourself. It's practical, it's easy, it's something you can apply to your everyday stuff. And that's like the creme de la creme. When you can hit that point, that's
Yeah, you give them a reason to like watch the video. It's not like, and I think a lot of folks like they'll try to find a formula. Like the news one was interesting. It was also helping us like get educated in terms of what was going on and keep up. But there's a lot of news channels. Like you said before, there's a lot of very technical channels, but there weren't that many. I remember at the time as well. Like it was you and someone else were the ones that I was following, and I lost track of the other guy because like the channel didn't grow as much. I think he wasn't as consistent. I think that was like a key thing for you. But you found that nice sweet spot with being able to make things simple enough that people could follow and try out, and meaning that they would stay on the video. So
exactly.
I think that's great. But where else did you get feedback from? Was it just like from people online, or were you checking this with folks in the AI community here? How did that feedback kind of happen as well?
You mean like the content?
Yeah, yeah, on the content side.
Actually, because this channel or content is very personal thing, and I try to like my rule for making those content is always I start with the uh with a topic or question I'm personally very interested, and then I start listing out, okay, myself, what are the questions that is worth answering that interest me to research further, and that's how I basically have been like
Okay.
really following. And the good thing is that I feel like AI at this moment is very uh kind of intuition or taste driven to some extent.
That's a good way to
Like
put it.
yeah, like uh because there's so many new stuff going on.
Yeah.
And then by making those content, you start getting a sense about, okay, what might go viral, what might not. And once you have the taste, I basically just start using that to think about, okay, is this content answering some question that was answering?
Mhm.
If that's the case, then just do it. And uh, but the key thing is like many times it won't work as well.
Okay.
You push something out and didn't work very well. And I used to come back to, oh, do I change another thumbnail to see if it works?
Oh, okay.
And I later learned, don't waste time on that. Just
Okay.
figure out the next thing and keep
Just
doing,
keep
have
moving.
that cadence.
I
So
like it.
obviously our numbers are nowhere near the size of yours, but I've been testing the same thing. So I've been over the last month or so as we build up, coming off of the holidays. We've got a couple episodes that'll be coming out of the next couple of like week, almost a month backlog now. But I started creating clips and shorts of moments that were interests within the videos and pushing those out. And I've been testing out different headings for that as well. Because when you post a video, you can do an A/B test against different content types and different messages. And it's so interesting to see how, one maybe only get a couple clicks and the other just like something booms for completely the same piece of content, but the thumbnail obviously drives that click in a different direction. And it's like, it's such an important thing to play.
There's a lot of power there, and I think it speaks to this theme of design as well. And you've built super design, and you mentioned before that you've got this like product design background. Can you tell us a bit more about that like background? Is it through schooling and stuff that you got into this? Like, how did you actually get into the design before we get into the company?
Yeah, good question. So my bachelor degree was actually power engineer. Like I said, nothing related to that.
Yeah.
And but like I think the long story. Like initially, I did that degree because I thought, okay, power feel like something energy were always needed.
Yep.
But I studied in China, and they were basically teaching you how to burn coal more effectively. And
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
oh, that's not exactly what I want. So I need to figure something else. And and design back then I just feel like an easy thing because when I was in uni, like Steve Jobs was everyone's
Master.
model, right?
Exactly.
And he
Yeah.
talked about design, and I really into that. So I started this agency just myself,
Okay.
doing the product design and
Nice.
also graph design. And yeah, that's how I get started. Basically from year 2 of my uni, I just doing those things. I never learned properly.
Yeah.
But I did took a like design degree, I think called international design degree in Sydney Uni here for master degree. I mean that didn't help too much, but
Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
That's
but
fine.
yeah, I did. That's probably the only education I went through.
Did you do that very late into your career, that master's degree, or was it something that you?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
you had obviously had a bit of experience because you'd started off going into senior. You had your own business or your own freelance consultancy that you were working in. You went into as a digital designer at, I think, China, moving into your 6 years at SafetyCulture.
Yeah.
So by that point, you'd obviously built up a lot of experience and application of design into project processes, products in themselves. And then you go into do a degree and it's just replicating the exact same thing I've been doing over the last, what am I learning here? Tell me about that experience, that jump that you transitioned from working for yourself into moving into corporate and then moving into a business like SafetyCulture.
Yeah, it's actually very fun because before I think part of the reason I took that degree is also because I just learned by doing. I
Yeah.
didn't know what proper thing is. Um, but I actually really learned the proper way of designing when I joined SafetyCulture. Back then, they were probably 50 people. And I was still uni. I joined, that's where okay, I start doing proper user interview, because when you do agency, you just, make something that feels makes sense, deliver, and you don't care. But in there, you actually need to own the whole thing. You deliver that, okay, didn't work. What are we going to do about it? Who do we talk to understand the next best actions? So I learned the whole thing in SafetyCulture. And also was quite lucky because I think I only interviewed one company, which is SafetyCulture, and that was growing very fast. And so it's just every few months that you feel like you have a new challenge to tackle. And yeah, so that's kind of like my experience there.
Learn by doing. I mean, the whole channel, the YouTube channel, is the learn by doing. The philosophy, it seems like, your approach to business, and whether it's the channel and maybe life, it's learn by doing, it seems.
Well,
Yeah,
I would say even design, right? Design is learned by doing. The very principle of it is like testing, learning, iterating, testing, learning, iterating. It's like the continual process of just applying some kind of process to see if it works. If it doesn't, pivot to the thing that talk to the people to validate it, find out why, move on to the next thing. It's that continual repetition of learn by doing.
yeah, exactly. And I do think my mixed background actually helped a little bit, because I when I started the proper design, like went into corporate, the biggest thing I found is that I feel like the way I think is somewhat different from the other designer fellows are, because who are traditional graphic design to product design. Because my background is engineer, so I always care more about like the user flow, is a problem where I try to solve properly, things like that. And we can talk a bit more later as well, but that's also kind of intuitive why I later start super design as well. Because when I was doing as a designer, I always care most like what's the most effective way for me to communicate ideas and validate, get a sense about how the thing is gonna work. So unlike traditional designer, I would like drag all the box pixel perfect. I just take screenshots from existing website, because I think you need to design in the real context. What's the point of design perfect design and engineer not delivering it? So that's always how I design. And when my fellow designer look into my Figma file, they always complain. It's like, this just bunch of screenshots. Like, how can I tweak? But I think with recent AI, I think things change a lot.
With the screenshots though, was it quicker for you to come up with that? Because you could just go to a whole bunch, you get the aesthetic, you do the interviews, you understand what it is that the client, the user wants. And was it quicker to just like go and just grab a bunch of screenshots and just throw it into the Figma file and get that feedback? Did you have these faster loops and it led to better outcomes rather than going through a full design process?
Yeah, definitely faster, because it give you a few benefits. One is that it forces you design in the real context. Because a lot of designer, you get a Figma file, it just looks nothing like the real product, right? And you remove that friction away, and also you start forcing yourself to design with the real data as well. Because if you took a screenshot from customer's portal, you're gonna see how messy the data actually is. Whatever table you design is not going to work. And yes, and also just fast. I start care less about the board. I also get a lot of tricks about how can I make screenshots that look like screenshots. But yeah.
It's funny because like vibe coding kind of is that. Like vibe coding, people are doing things really fast if you're going to go on that point, because like people complain about it, but the thing is people are doing stuff very quickly and they're getting feedback a lot faster. So there's a yes, it's negative if all you're going to do is just vibe code and put the security things around it, but there's a weird benefit parallel to it.
I was gonna say, I was on a similar thing, touching on the fact that you and I were talking about Figma earlier, and obviously that was one of your hated tools nowadays. It's something that it's played a big role in I guess for me UX over the years. Definitely, I would never call myself a designer in the traditional sense. I would always partner with a designer to help if a customer or my client or my the business I was working at needed that pixel perfect thing. It'd be the designer's role to do that. But as a product or UX person, our role is to do exactly what you said. It's to find that optimal point, that optimal flow to get a customer from A to B. That little pixel things, I'd leave it to the pixel people to make it look beautiful. But it's also a great point you raise on the vibe coding side of things, is that we're now shifting away from that because the tools are able to work out the pixel perfect elements without us having to spend hours trying to align things nowadays. And you can jump into tools like, I mean, who's the name of the person at the meet that we went to? She talked brilliantly around her design process as a UXer herself. Now she involves herself. She's got Cursor. She's got a plug into a Git repo, which she segments off to her own branch, and she'll do all the UX elements of that. She'll test that, and then if that test element works, she pushes it back into the main branch. So designers or UXers in the traditional sense, we're no longer really in Figma and design tools. We're actually in the code. We're able to vibe code and test in real processes and real situations, give that to someone to play with. And then if that works, bring it back into the main element, or give it to a developer to refine, because obviously vibe coding has its shortfalls, particularly when it comes to security and other elements. And that's been the sort of evolution of where UX is going now.
So let's talk about what you've culminated all of this thinking and this experience and process into, which is super design. What is that all about? Now, we've used it a little bit, but I'd like to hear it from the man himself who's created it. What's it all about?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, like I think one thing when I was a product designer, the thing I always care about is like I feel like designer should be the one that really push out ideas very quickly, communicate that. But in reality, it's not like that. A lot of designer, if you ever work with them, if you're a startup and you hire a external designer come in, if they are good, they're good. But if they're not good, they actually slow down the process because they're gonna have so much context to grab whatever they produce. If they're not end user, it's not going to make sense. So I always feel like that gap. And also when I was working at Random CI, I was leading a product design team there. If I look at designers' backlog, it's also like 50% low value task from what I see. It's literally a marketing team want to add a banner for book demo or event, and you need a designer to do that. And like it's so basic. And what designer gonna design is also going to, a good designer, or not, I wouldn't say good designer, effective designer, you just put a banner, get a job done. But some designers will spend like, hours doing those perfect banner. And I just like, okay, designer tasks, maybe they can shift away as well. If you break them down into two buckets, some of buckets are basic stuff. Something, if a coding agent plus a design system, they should be able to produce what the designers produce, and probably even fast and better because you have that fast feedback loop. And then design team can actually focus on the more important 20% pieces of, restructuring the platform, more important user flow. So that's always like on my mind.
Spend more time in interviews, for example, and designing the more value add kind of stuff rather than the mundane.
Exactly, because definitely there's a role for designer. Yes, it is model just not good at or say like the gap for model to generate good design is actually part is model capability, but also part of the context, and that context is hard to grasp, feed to the agent. So I definitely think it's a huge value for designer to operate, but they can focus on those like difficult tasks in my opinion. So that's always like on my mind. And when I was at Random CI, I basically tried to almost force my team to use vibe code tool.
Wow. Okay.
Initially, we try Laravel, Bolt, whatever, and none of them just really works because
Mm.
they has no idea about your product and have no idea about your either design best practice as well as your design system. And later I ran an experiment. I kind of like locked him in a room for half a day and forced them to say, you have to install GitHub, you have to install Cursor, okay. You have to become front engineer.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it was quite scaring. Like when they open terminal for the first time, it's very very scary for non-technical people. But after that, okay, they start shipping the first PR, like first mission. That's where like they start also getting a positive feedback loop. The first time they can close their the quality gap that they used to very very difficult to prioritize. Then I start seeing team keep pushing PRs to the code base, and that's where I realized, okay, this must be how other teams should work or how future product teams should operate. And like people can just like on one hand, small basic design tasks can be just handled by non-designers themselves. Yeah, they don't need to put it into backlog. Yeah, and designers have these tools that really understand your products, understand your design system, produce things that just make sense. So at least you don't need to worry about this button is not what we have, or this layout makes no sense. Then it's easier for you to get into flow of actual designing with co-designing with AI. So that's like how I imagine the future of that design tool is.
I think it's really good. Like, what you said there, moving, it's like designers would have had to do these like lower mundane tasks, the banners and stuff like that. But if you move that to something that a non-designer can do, the designer with those skills and the training that you've had, for example, can just focus on the really valuable stuff. So it's like right now, imagine that you've got bad systems and it's like having a system where a lawyer is the one that's answering the email. You don't want a lawyer answering the email. You want a lawyer doing legal type stuff. You want a bot or someone else like answering the email. So I think it's a good philosophy. So how did that lead to creating, because you were at Relevance, we'll go back to that, but how did it lead to creating Super Design?
Yeah, so I actually start as a side project when I was doing Relevance.
Oh,
I just
okay.
run a weekend
Nice.
project.
Love that. Love it.
And
Right.
the weekend project was a
True entrepreneur.
Yes, exactly.
yeah, was an IDE extension.
Okay.
Basically, like I was using Cursor a lot, and I was just one challenge, of course, is like model couldn't produce really really good design. So there are some enhancement can be done on the prompt itself and workflow itself. The other is like model every time produce different things, and I was thinking, oh, can we actually turn this into a feature? So instead of getting it produce one design, can it produce 3-5 different versions?
Yeah.
And keep iterating.
Hallucinations is a feature.
Yes.
Yeah, essentially, yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly. So the IDE extension, basically, like if you use Cursor, we build an extension that has an infinite canvas inside Cursor, and you can just prompt Cursor, say, help me design X. Then Cursor can just like open that canvas and start, designing things, and it will design 3, 4, 5 different versions, and can tell it, I like this version, let's iterate further. That's kind of like the extension put together and put on GitHub. And it was initially like not a lot of people talk about, and after a month, I think one guy tweeted about it. Then it started growing really fast. The open source project.
That's excellent.
And you used it.
So I haven't used this element of it, but it's fast because the thing I love, like when people think about this stuff, they think about it in the traditional, I expect to be opening up an LLM and typing in something, produce a bunch of images. I'm not prompting anything in that kind of sense. It's like sets an ID. So it's a plugin that builds on the capabilities you're already doing within these platforms to be able to then make better choices around how you design. And that's what I think I love about it. So what I've used is also you've got a side element to the whole project itself, where you're actually creating prompts that help with the whole design. So you have a series of templates, which often people, when they jump into things like Bolt or other LLMs, they go, oh, I want to design my website that does this.
It's starting from scratch.
It starts from scratch, and it makes some assumptions, but usually content is a bit all over the place, or it doesn't choose the right fonts for you. Whereas you've created a nice prompt library which I've tested out a couple of times with a couple of layouts, and it does an incredible job. Precise job at creating like these beautiful layouts for websites.
And you've been using it for something you're working on. I've used it we've just launched Foundry Labs and our venture studio tied to this law firm, Madison Marcus. But I used it to do the initial kind of design off one of the templates. And surprisingly, not surprisingly, but I was just, this probabilistic versus deterministic, like having hallucinations. Like I give it a website and it will try to do the website before in the past, and it kind of gets there. Sometimes it does well, sometimes it doesn't. But with yours, here's a template I like, copy the prompt, get the vibe coding tool to create it, and it does it exactly each time. And then I tweak it from there. That's almost like this nice mix between like the Wix, Squarespace, WordPress templates versus the control, the ultimate control you get over like being able to use vibe coding tool or Claude Code. So it's really cool. So, Foundry Labs has you to thank.
Nice.
Has Super Design to thank for what it's started. There you go.
This is one of the templates that you have off the back of your design
great.
structure.
I can tell which one.
It's like Mark was like, share it with him. Like he's got to know which template I use. It's
this is the creator. But let's talk about that. Like this is the problem that people they ultimately face. Like it's nice the magic box can create anything. And I like that you lean into the feature and see it as a feature that you can create all these things through hallucinations, but like people sometimes want to have the exact spec and design. So how have you found people using that? Like we're two of the users so far, but like what's the kind of feedback that you've had from others that are trying this out?
Yeah, I think because we went a bit detour. I mentioned initially we started ID extension. Like it went popular, and then we realized, okay, can we bring it to more people by building a cloud platform? Then the next product is actually cloud platform. Which the good thing is we have much more control about agents. So the quality you will notice on cloud platform is way better than what we have originally. But later, then the good thing is that we start getting the feedback we got like because our goal is to be the AI product designer for startups or teams who don't have designer. And when we move to those people, the first problem is like they don't not exactly know the language to communicate with the agent, and they also not necessarily know what they want because they don't know what other sections should be in the landing page, things like that. That would prompt us to do the prompt library. And actually, a side learnings we also get is that we were testing different prompts internally, and we surprisingly realized how come the same prompt just always deliver the same results. That's where I realized the latest model is actually really good at reproducing stuff, even with the text prompt. That's where okay, prompt library concept can actually really works. So we do this prompt library, and people start using that. People like it, but what we found is that two things. One is that it is useful when you just start designing something, but it's less useful when you like in the flow, or you're designing something on top of existing things. So we are actually doing a thing like instead of doing a prompt library, can we build a search engine with taste, where it can always feed relevant design inspiration to you, to whatever design task you have. So if you're building landing page, you like the rest of page, but you just want to improve how the pricing section looks like. That agent will just know what are all the 10 different pricing sections design could be.
It's got the context.
Got the context. It got the context of the best practice plus whatever you are designing.
It's good
and
mix.
then it can start
Really
remix something that actually makes sense in this context. And then with all those contexts, start creating 3-5 different variations. But each variation gonna be make sense in the context you're designing.
And then you choose from the variation. That is crazy. That's the type of value that designers would have been doing. But going back to it, well, do you want one designer taking hours to give you a few options of buttons, or do you just use this and it just immediately gives you those results and you go, yeah, that's what I need. But I want my human designer to focus on value add.
Exactly.
Like we saw both from the customer, right? Some of the customers were actually, I just talked to one the other day. He was hiring a contract designer on Twitter, and he was paying like $8,000 per month, but he wasn't happy with the result. And then he tried this, and he was like, okay, I can actually iterate this thing way faster rather than a 1-week waiting period. So he just themselves taking the design responsibility. But there are also other teams like you mentioned. So the non-designer can just take care of this low-hanging, like low-level design jobs whereas designer will be more like a reviewer.
Mhm.
I don't know if Chris saw this, but I saw some of the design agency friends were saying that their request getting recently is like, Claude Code give us a V1 of this design, and we want someone to improve that, or we don't need designer to manage every single pixel, but we want someone to just guide the direction for design, but don't worry about all the in detail pixel implementation. So we saw both sides happening.
Definitely. I mean, even in the business I've been doing stuff for most recently, they went through an initial stage internally before they even brought people like myself and other developers and designers on board, where they had developed their own MVP, just using simple vibe coding. They knew what structures and system layouts they wanted. They utilized that to test with the market, validated a bunch of flows, then came to us to go, how do we bring this to life in a more commercial kind of way? So instantly they bypassed what agencies and other people would have usually spent months trying to do in their own time to be able to hand off to us. And then within 3 months, they had a commercially viable product, which
And
is
if
like
it's something,
unheard of in like 2-3 years ago. You just couldn't do that.
and if it's something that you want yourself, you can give tighter feedback loops because it's not emailing others. You're
Yeah.
like just doing it within yourself. And when you've got the time, and you know what this leads to is this philosophy around like prototyping. Before it used to take forever to prototype and get something to market. So MVPs would be months. Like not pre-MVPs would take like weeks or whatever. But
Yeah.
now you can get something in the meeting or even just after the meeting within a few days to the client, get some feedback, or if you're trying to raise money for investors, I'm seeing this when doing this for clients, instead of a pitch deck, just a PDF, it's now a website. It's a pitch deck that's interactive and you can track and trace who's seeing what are they clicking on. Like with vibe coding and guess what, with better design, I think we're just going to make things so much easier to validate ideas and get to market smarter tools. So this is a very important part of like the process I'm trying to do for my clients. But you mentioned that thing there about like trying to be within the workflow. So that means like, say I use Claude Code and I just came back from the Claude Code event last night. We're filming this on the 6th of February or whatever it is that, it's going to go out and stuff. But, the people within that tool or people within like, would it be with Cursor and with like, other tools, are people going to be able to call this function? Like it's going to be a skill within Claude?
Yeah, so we also recently released this agent skill called
Okay.
Super Design skill. So you can
Okay.
install in Cursor, Cloud Code. Basically, the problem we try to solve is that if we think a good amount of a user is like vibe coders or developers. So
Yeah.
the question is how can we inject high quality design in your normal dev workflow as seamless as possible? So the scenario like before they get a tickets, let's say add a book banner or book demo banner to the platform, they can
Yeah.
to /super design, help me design a banner on the homepage. Then this skill will trigger Cloud Code to look through the code base, and if the first time it will look through code base to understand how does the current UI look like, and build this knowledge base about your your design component, your page routers, all those things, and then trigger super design, which it will automatically open the browser and create project, bring all those context over, and start designing within the actual context.
I see it here. So it's got the instructions.
I'll
So
put it up on the screen.
if I'm using Claude Code, I go to this page here,
Yep.
and like I was already using and you've already used the pump library and stuff, which is great. But now we can just follow along with this. So we'll throw this up on screen. I'm going to start using this straight after this because I've got a few design things. Next week we've got a meetup for the Australian DeFi Association, which is now doing AI stuff, and I'm making quizzes and making stuff more interactive. I want to have this look over it. So
Yeah.
we'll give you some feedback.
Yeah, definitely. We'll let you get some feedback. And in this version, it's still pretty early. We released like 1.5 weeks ago. But we also next thing gonna like it will look through your code base to build up all the component library as well.
Right.
So it's almost like an automated storybook. If you know guys know storybook, like that's the thing people use to manage their system.
Yeah.
But it's like pain in the ass to maintain it. But yeah, we're thinking about it, which automatically generate the storybook, automatically maintaining it, and you have this vibe coding playground that actually has a full context. Because that would be the next step.
I love what this is highlighting. This is covering the fact that there's been a lot of fear around AI, how it's taking over people's jobs and doing X, Y, Z. In some instances, that is the case. In the design case currently, and it kind of touches on the where we've been going with experts in the loop, but talking on that human in the loop, the designer role isn't disappearing, it's evolving, right? It's changing what the purpose and what a designer should be able to do in this, more advanced era with AI. And I love how your product is really touching and supporting that change. It's maintaining the role of the designer, as you touched on earlier on, but it's placing them in the hands of with AI to be able to still do the work that they do, but do it in a more meaningful purpose, more rapid, appropriate way of doing things. With that in mind, though, what transitions are you do you think we'll continue to see as AI becomes more advanced, as designer role continues to evolve and change? Where do you think things are going in the market right
Yeah,
now?
I feel like a good way to look at it is reference how coding is changing engineers' role
Mm.
and responsibility. So what you see is that nowadays, 10 used to, like actually, I'll take one example from my team. One person on my team was probably the one best engineer I've seen, but he traditionally he would be like those kind of 10x engineer. But with agent, he basically is almost 100x
Oh,
in
wow.
my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he start like
Okay.
multiple different sessions, and his role is really just focus on not writing the actual code, but uh, guide and help make the right technical decisions. It's like in Cloud Code, you have the plan mode and execution. His time spent on the plan mode, try to give the right context and guide it, and the actual execution will be done by the agent. So that's kind of one type of situation happened. Like those really top tier engineer became way better than the other. And meanwhile, also and I think that happened to all the other engineers as well. They just spend more time on the planning, and uh, and meanwhile, each team's expectation for the output also became much more as well. Like
So
normal AI native startups, the velocity of shipping is really crazy compared with other. So, um, and third one is like also more people are actually creating software today because of that.
Yep.
So I think the same thing will happen probably for design as well. Like really top tier design, now you have this tool to spin up ideas way faster. And also some non-designers will also start using that. But the interesting part in my mind is more like as a what should an AI native designer be? That probably means people who use a lot of those tools and also figure out ways to really have highest leverage. Um, but it's a bit hard to tell now. I want to know is like that the transition probably would be very similar to how engineer side works.
So we say that like the toolkit of a traditional designer, you're not even put in the UX side of thing, would be, Photoshop, Illustrator, a few of those other tools to be able to design and bring things to life. And now we're shifting into this way of like that's become your skill set should primarily sit within the utilization of these. I wouldn't say necessarily prompting, but the ability to be able to adjust design on the fly, whether it's honing in on your skills in things like Cursor and Anthropic, utilizing a platform like yours, that is now the skill set that is expected out of designers in this modern era.
Yeah, like if you interview a designer, one designer use Cloud Code, the other don't. You just naturally know the other gonna be so much more effective.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, utilizing those tools is quite important.
Yeah.
Like probably would be I would just add a new skill to the designer's skill set, like the vibe coding or vibe prototyping is quite important one.
Yeah, nice.
But all the rest of the like core principles still stay the same. So I
100%.
think that part would be very similar.
We spoke to a bunch of guys a while back, as this story comes up quite a lot. Actually, we repeat it because I think it hits home to a lot of the conversations that we've been talking about, which is iCandy, and so they're a filming company, but they utilize AI processes for everything.
They do like commercials, movies, things like that, like traditional directors.
Exactly. But the core principle is like all the processes that you would go through when it comes to making film production remain the same. It's just that the
Set
tools,
design.
set design, the thought around, what you wear and where it's going to be and how we film, the
Camera
lenses,
angles
all
and
that
how
stuff.
that changes, because you don't just film the scene like this, you have multiple cameras, kind
Exactly.
of like what we've got.
Exactly. And all that remains the same. It's just that we're now switching them out with AI processors or people who know how to use AI processors. And like the production person is now, he also uses AI tools. The guy who's editing and adjusting and doing all the, in what traditionally in DaVinci Resolve or Adobe products are now using AI products in replacement to produce that, the stuff that they're doing. It's like the people in the process remain the same. It's just the tools are evolving around them to make things more efficient and more effective.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think just while you guys are doing that, I'm installing the new features, with design, being able to like just call Claude Code within this. I'm doing that. I feel like I've got the AI Jason YouTube video showing me. Have you got a video that you're going to show people on how to do this? Have you actually covered super design in your AI Jason videos yet?
I haven't got one video that's just featuring that.
Yeah.
But probably will make one very soon. I'll link that below.
Yeah, we'd love to share it and stuff as well. But I think, being able to just like, because I think about it, I'm not a designer, but I know what taste I want for like tools. And I know when I see things, like I would be very positive about like seeing a Figma thing. And yes, it is just screenshots, because I could just tell you, okay, I like that style, I want to do something like that. So we'll be doing this, but like what do you think when it comes to what you're seeing in that content space? Because you're in a unique position. You're not just, and sorry, like not everyone out there is like just a YouTuber or just a designer or just like a coder and stuff. There's people that wear a few hats. We watch a few of them online. They've got their day job, they're building things. Greg Eisenberg, you were on the podcast there. What do you think it is that people have a taste for right now from all the stuff, the feedback that you're getting from people and what you're seeing online, what people are liking? What is it that they're wanting?
I found people want more practical things now.
Okay.
Like 1 year ago, the golden title format is like something is like new king for photo, something like that. Like game is over, this type of thing, or like make you 10x.
So true.
That didn't work anymore. Like people just get so immune to this ones, into those type of things. But what I found is like in general, the content quality is still the most important thing, especially the practical ones. And I also saw, because every month there's still new YouTube channel, AI YouTube channel came out and grow really fast.
Yeah.
Because there are huge gaps still to fill in, to bring those concepts easier digestible and practical for normal people. It's to some extent like open cloud. The technology is kind of like interesting, but it's that open up some new interesting markets that normal people wouldn't use that for. So I think it's the same thing for content. Like you want to making, you want to find the niche you have, and just producing some content is more digestible for that niche, and make it more practical and useful. That's what I found.
Is it useful? Like it's useful for the end person, but is it also very just straightforward for you to like? Have you got like a nice streamlined workflow for you to create these things? Because there's probably some budding YouTube or people that want to share stuff, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, or any of the others. Like, do you have any kind of like let's say advice for someone that wants to get started and wants to grow into something like what you've done?
Yeah, I think just start doing recording things, and you'll start finding the styles. I'm pretty bad at those kind of workflow. I'm still doing the most vanilla. I just have my MacBook camera and do some editing. I mean, I do see some pretty creative one. I know this one channel called AI Labs, and I talked to him. He was basically using 11 labs to generate all the voice.
Wow.
Clone his own voice, then generate script.
Have you tried that? Have you tried cloning your own voice?
Not yet.
Okay.
Probably I should, because that probably will enable me produce much more content.
It's whether or not you like the voice. I remember when I was first doing it, I'm like, it doesn't sound Aussie, or it made me sound a bit British more than Aussie.
Yeah.
right? So I wasn't really happy with it, but
Not enough.
But maybe all the foreigners, maybe
maybe.
people overseas would like it. I don't know.
I think it's better now. Like
It was, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is so much better. This is like first iteration of 11 Labs, but that's interesting. So you had that shortcut and stuff. Have you got plans to kind of like incorporate some of those things, you think?
Yeah, I was trying to. So that's actually one thing I was before building Super Design. The first thing I tried was I was experimenting building a video editing tool.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And because I always use the script, I just hate the script so much.
Mhm.
But that one was hard back then, 1 year
Yeah.
ago, because there's no model can output timestamp accurately to do the editing.
Yeah.
But I think
yeah.
things might change rapidly this year. 'Cause I already see a few companies popping up doing this very well.
I like it. I think that's really cool.
Uh,
You want to do some?
yeah, should we do some rapid fire questions? Like we always close things up, just asking around some of the stuff that you're currently doing or playing with or toying with. Let's start with kind of the tools. What are some tools that you're playing with right now, different from the stuff that you might be doing on your normal day-to-day, things that are interesting or on the horizon?
As I was trying, I forgot the name, so I
Yeah.
probably need to.
That's okay.
Actually, let me
look it up, look it up.
Sure.
let me try to find it. I can't remember.
We'll speed this part up.
Yeah.
Like make sure you do it because otherwise I'm just gonna look silly doing this.
Your hands are gonna be like. Might be super fast with that one.
Or if I move like really slowly, it'll look like normal
No.
while I'm doing it.
There's I was watching I love just watching things around cinema and movies on YouTube and it's do you remember the movie Hook with
Yes.
the
The pirates.
yeah, it was one of my favorite movies as a kid, obviously talking about
You were hooked.
Peter Pan.
You were hooked.
There's a scene where one of the it's the guy who takes over from Peter Pan after he disappears. And he does when he first sees Peter Pan, he's like obviously doesn't believe he's Peter Pan because now he's grown up, he's older, he's betrayed what the Lost Boys are all about. And he's trying to scare the older Peter Pan. And he comes up with his sword and he like sweats the sword like right over top and like literally stops an inch from their face. And this is like before practical effects were able to be used. And so the way that they did that shot, because he apparently wasn't very good with a sword as a kid in the movie, they did it in reverse.
Oh,
But when he puts the sword down, he actually says something. And
Interesting.
so what he had to do was learn the words in reverse and have to mime the words in reverse and then did the thing backwards. So it looked like he comes in and then says a line, but really he was saying everything backwards.
Interesting.
I like it. Did you find the
On the this one called Chatcut.
Chatcut?
Chatcut.
Check out.
They are one of the company that was experimenting the video editing.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
So you
okay.
kind of cursor for video editing. You talk to it. I give you all the raw material. It try to cut it for me, and it also start adding some cool animations. If I talk about new iPhone, it will search online and then generate a quick you saw this animation thing effect pop up like all the specs 3 times faster. 5 milliseconds, it will start generating those animations on screen as well. It's kind of like a motion skill, which was pretty popular, but they bake it into that workflow.
Awesome.
That's one thing I was trying.
I either haven't come across it yet, and it probably does exist, or what I just can't understand why it hasn't boomed is just general AI video editing. It's like filming something like this, and then I just put it into an AI editor, and it just does the editing for me.
Yeah,
and
knows the style that you want.
I can't comprehend how that doesn't exist yet.
It's hard because the model wasn't ready.
Yeah.
The model just can't, even with the latest one, it just can't output accurate timestamp. So no matter, so the way it do is that it will do transcript based editing.
Yeah.
Which means if it's unscript, it's perfect, right? It's it just look at the transcript and try to cut. It probably get you 90%. But if for like script video, where you will talk about same thing multiple times, the editing is more around the emotion you express, the visual. That part is very hard.
Yeah, I understand that part of it. It's more things like ours is unscripted. There's not a lot of elements around that require timestamping. There are pieces out there that allow, if there's like gaps in talk, it will like reduce the gaps. It will get rid of that stuff. But it should be able to understand when to select transitions or Like if you're talking, for instance, it should pick the video, then the camera that's like facing at you. There's nothing that does that. So I'll do a lot of that in DaVinci Resolve. And that's the part I can't comprehend that AI hasn't mastered yet. The stuff we're talking about, I can understand.
Yeah.
Or even going the look and feel, like just applying the grades and go, cool, I want this exact look. And it just goes, okay, cool. I'm going to play with the things until the video looks exactly like that.
Yeah.
None of that exists yet. I don't understand.
Yeah.
So hard.
This script do that to some extent.
To some extent, yeah.
And we're trying out then. Yeah. We'll have to see if
try and
that
play with that.
works well. Keen on that. Next one.
So I mean, you kind of talked about where the industry is going from a design perspective, but what are some of the things that you're looking forward to the most right now when it comes to everything happening within design or business or in AI?
Obviously, the model itself.
Yeah.
Because I think the industry is basically whichever use case took off is the ones that hit the production level requirements.
Yep.
And that comes from two sides. One is the model itself, another is the workflow, which is the app layer companies doing. So I definitely more interested in what kind of thing the model can produce.
Yeah. Awesome.
Like for us, Gemini 3 was a big unlock. Before that, no matter how much we try, if the model's taste is not there yet, it's very hard to produce anything.
Yep.
But it's still, I found the model it's good at landing page, stuff like that. But when you're doing product design, they require a lot of context, information architecture, thinking, things like that. Model today is still not that great, what I found. So I'm actually very forward to the next generation of those models.
And I guess final question, founder journey, you've had, building up a successful business, worked in some incredible organizations and industries over your career. What would be the one advice you give to someone who's going on that founder journey like yourself?
I think it might be easier than you thought. I feel, because biggest fear I had before was I was solo founder.
Yeah.
And the advice always like you should get a co-founder. And I tried really hard, but it just couldn't find easily the person that clicks.
Yeah.
So it was really difficult for me. But when I started, actually it feels pretty good.
Nice.
Well.
That's great advice. That's something we hear a lot. Is like, just start. Just give it a go. And like you did it on the side. You with your experience in the work, you were trying to build things on the side in your own time, in your own hours. Like, just the idea, just start. Just do something, and that will take you on that journey and that path to even just learn. Even if it doesn't work, you will learn quite a lot on that journey. So yeah, really good advice.
Yeah, waiting is not a great game. So just get in, and if you're waiting to go, well, how am I going to design something? How am I going to try something? The AI tools aren't that great at helping me with the design. Super design,
That's it.
You got the logo on the t-shirt. It'll be all at the bottom here, and definitely check out Jason's videos. But Jason, any final words for the audience?
Even a plug about your business.
No, please go subscribe my YouTube channel and give it a try on Super Design. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I love it. That's it.
You heard it here, guys. We'll see you for another episode soon. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
it.
Awesome.